Irma Garcia was one of the two fourth-grade teachers who was killed in the elementary school shooting that took place in Uvalde, Texas on Tuesday. She had been an educator for 23 years. She was the mother of 4 children. Her bio on the school website stated that she loved music and barbecuing with her husband of 24 years, Joe Garcia. Married for 24 years, been teaching for 23. Her friends and family said she was like a second mom to her students. The video I'm going to show you is her husband, Joe Garcia, just yesterday, placing flowers at a cross bearing his now deceased wife's name. Obviously, grief-stricken. At the time of filming, we found out that, obviously, completely heartbroken. For lack of a better way to describe it, Joe Garcia later suffered a heart attack and died. One Twitter user wrote, "The gunman is dead, and yet he keeps racking up victims." But I would disagree. Irma Garcia's death may have been a direct result of Salvador Ramos. Joe Garcia's blood is on the hands of Ted Cruz. Joe Garcia's blood is on the hands of Greg Abbott. His loss, his grief, his fatal heart attack, his hopelessness, is a direct result not of their inaction, but of the actions that they have knowingly taken, that they would rather take campaign donations than protect families. The party of pro-life can go fuck themselves, and anyone who defends this trash or has the nerve to say that I'm politicizing this, that I'm politicizing this tragedy, their deaths, the deaths of 19 children and 2 teachers, that's fine. You can say it. And you may have a leg to stand on. But I have watched for days as the Republican Party's politicization created the environment and the state that led to Joe Garcia's death. His wife's murder could have meant something. But he knew deep down that it didn't. And that it never would to anyone but to him, his family, and the friends and family of those who were lost. So, any politician, any media figure, any voter or social media commentator who says that the left needs to stop politicizing this, tell them Chainsaw says, go fuck yourself. Carry on. All right, so we're going to try something a little bit different for the Friday show. As I mentioned yesterday, that I would actually be at an event coming up in Branson, Missouri. This weekend, for Memorial Day weekend, of course, on the weekends I typically will go to festivals and things like that, and doing cool stuff, selling t-shirts, signing autographs. It's a great time. But So because I won't be here in the studio, and I actually may be also out of the studio for Monday, so I'll be filming on location. So that should be super interesting to see how that works out. But I'm hopeful. But we're going to try something a little bit different, and I hope to kind of incorporate this into the format of the show here toward the end of the weekend, or toward the end of the week, right? But I want to first start with a little bit of a follow-up on some of the stuff that I'd been following earlier in the week. Now, a lot of folks who had watched the show earlier had seen my, we'll say my cattiness toward South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, and her, well, not only her dereliction of duty otherwise as the governor of South Dakota, but also her hiding, her messaging and projecting of the ultra MAGA amosexual arquebus book club lifestyle, and the hypermasculinity of the arquebus in question. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this or not. I might have mentioned it on social media, that I'd also been following the tiff between Lauren Boebert, representative, and AOC, which was, I didn't really pay much attention to it because it basically just seemed like Lauren Boebert going off on a tangent, and AOC just kind of brushing her off. Well, I would assume that AOC probably wasn't paying that much attention either. But yeah, I guess Lauren Boebert went on Fox News and made some snide remarks as if she was taking the whole conversation, the Twitter back and forth between the two, fairly seriously. So we'll take a look at that first.
Sandy Cortez tweeting at me, but she hasn't taken up my offer to actually meet and work together. And of course, we saw Beto acted like a total jerk and tried to use the deaths of these children as a prop to advance his political candidacy. When 9/11 happened, we didn't ban planes. We secured the cockpit. And of course, Sandy.
What did I say? What did I say in the intro? I'm just saying. We secured the cockpit. Boy, nobody tell Mr. Boebert. Oh, you don't know about that yet? I would be surprised if folks didn't know about that yet. Yeah. Lauren Boebert's husband isn't really big on securing the cockpit either, but I digress. I can't even touch that. I'll leave that to Farron Cousins and friends. But she continues.
What exactly is happening? We know that things are being stopped in Congress. People want to know where the Republicans are at, where you're at when it comes to what the next step can be taken for some real change here.
Right. Well, first of all, of course, my heart mourns for what has taken place. And once again, unfortunately, we've proven that gun-free zones are deadly and we cannot legislate evil. But I want real solutions, not just tweets. I want our schools secured. I want our children protected. And I want teachers that can protect themselves and their students. And you know what? We can achieve this without trying to disarm law-abiding citizens. For me, this is my equalizer. I need a way to protect myself and my children. And my firearm is my equalizer, my tool to do that.
Did she does this woman think that there are gun-free zones in Texas? Yikes. Her equalizer. I mean, I guess when you run a restaurant where the cooks are packing heat, the servers are packing heat, and you encourage all your customers to be packing heat like they do down there at Shooter's Grill, I honestly, I would not feel comfortable walking into the joint not being locked and loaded, because that seems like a very dangerous place to be in general. Do they serve alcohol at Shooter's Grill? My God, I really, really hope not. Lauren Boebert, just utter trash, completely out of her mind, rocking that ultra MAGA propaganda. I mean, what can be said? What can be said about her? Hopefully, the Republican Party has plenty to tell you about her. It looks like they've got her in their crosshairs in the same fashion as they did with Madison Cawthorn. So maybe she loses a primary. But only time will tell. So speaking of absolute psychopaths and their weird misdirection of reality, I did want to read a little bit of the news for you because I know how everybody loves that. I constantly get requests for that in social media. They say, "Hey, Chainsaw, I love the videos and I love the rants and I love the what I really miss about the format of Cash, Coffee, and Chaos is when you just sit there for like 45 minutes and you just read news articles." So, hey, ask and you shall receive. No, but seriously though, I do want to take a look at this. It's an AP article. NRA stages big gun show. I got 2 tickets to the gun shows here, in Texas days after the school massacre, because undoubtedly there's going to be some absolute magic within these pages here. But I do want to let you know, of course, I'm going to just kind of skim over the article a little bit. I don't want to put everybody to sleep. I know it's Friday. It's been a hell of a week so far. And I do have a little something special for you as we go through this after this part for the rest of the broadcast. So hopefully you enjoy that. Let's take a look. NRA stages big gun show in Texas days after the school massacre, featuring all your favorite right-wing psychopaths. What did I say? What else is there to say? Listen, Houston AP reports the National Rifle Association begins its annual convention in Houston on Friday. Leaders of the powerful gun rights lobbying group are gearing up to reflect on and deflect blame for the deadly shooting earlier this week. 19 children, 2 teachers at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Former President Donald J. Trump and other leading Republicans are scheduled to address the 3-day firearms marketing and advocacy event, which is expected to draw protesters fed up with gun violence. Some scheduled speakers and performers have backed out, including 2 Texas lawmakers and American Pie singer Don McLean, who said it would be disrespectful, obviously, to go ahead with his act in the aftermath of the country's latest mass shooting. While President Joe Biden and Democrats in Congress have renewed calls for stricter gun laws, NRA board member Phil Journey said the focus should be on better mental health care and trying to prevent gun violence. He said he wouldn't support banning or limiting access to firearms. So when is mental health? Mental health is a part of health care. That other thing that, Republicans are not at all interested in whatsoever. Ask Mike Parson from Missouri about that. The NRA said in an online statement that people attending the gun show will reflect on the Uvalde school shooting, pray for the victims, recognize our patriotic members, and pledge to redouble our commitment to making our schools secure. Oh, I think I'm going to choke on a pretzel over here. People planning to attend picked up registration badges Thursday, shop for NRA souvenirs, such T-shirts that say "Sun's out, guns out." You've got to be shitting me. Police already had set up metal barriers across the street from the convention center at a park where protesters expected to gather on Friday. Gary Francis traveled with his wife and friends from Racine, Wisconsin to attend the NRA meeting. He said he opposed any gun control regulations in response to the Uvalde shooting. Yeah. I don't know about that. All right. What happened there is obviously tragic, but the NRA had nothing to do with it. People who come here had nothing to do with it. I think you know what I would have to say to someone like that. Texas has experienced a series of mass shootings in recent years. During that time, Republican-led legislature, yada, yada, we know. President for the NRA to gather amid local mourning and controversy. The organization went ahead with a shortened version of the 1999 meeting in Denver, roughly a week after the deadly shooting in Columbine. Shit, I wasn't even in high school when that happened, bro. Just saying. Actor Charlton Heston, the NRA president at the time, told attendees that horrible acts shouldn't become opportunities to limit constitutional rights, and he denounced critics for casting NRA members as villains. Rocky Marshall, former NRA board member, said that although the tragedy in Uvalde does put the meeting in a bad light, that's not a reason to cancel it. You know, we got to make our money. We got to fundraise, bro. Ted Cruz needs dollars. If Ted Cruz don't get more dollars, it don't make no sense. Marshall said gun rights advocates and opponents can perhaps reduce gun violence if they focus on factors such as mental illness and school security. Again, you're going to have to talk to the Republicans about that because, again, mental health is a part of health care. It's one of those things, one of those tenets that they've been fighting ever since we had a black president. Again, ask Mike Parson of Missouri about that. Throwing rocks at the NRA doesn't solve the next mass shooting. Throwing rocks at the people that hate guns, that doesn't solve the next mass shooting. Yeah, I know, because throwing rocks at people with guns don't really solve a whole bunch. I'm not going to say it. 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 It's, not going to say it. Country music singer Larry Gatlin, who pulled out of a planned appearance at the event, said he hopes the NRA will rethink some of its outdated and ill-thought positions. While I agree with most of the positions held by the NRA, I've come to believe that while background checks would not stop every madman with a gun, is the very least a step in the right direction, Gatlin said. Country singers Lee Greenwood, Larry Stewart also withdrew, Variety reported. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said Thursday, the NRA's leaders are contributing to the problem of gun violence and not trying to solve it. She accused them of representing the interests of gun manufacturers who are marketing weapons of war to young adults, and she's 100%. I mean, Greg Abbott signed into law legislation that allowed for this shooting in Uvalde to happen. As soon as the kid was legally able to purchase a firearm, that's the first thing he did. Stop it. Two Republican Texas lawmakers who had been scheduled, U.S. Senator John Cornyn and Dan Crenshaw. Oh, well, this is actually my first time I'm hearing it. Are no longer attending due to their staffs said were changes in their schedules, because that would be dumb as hell. But speaking of dumb as hell, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who was slated to attend, will instead address the convention by pre-recorded video. A spokesman told the Dallas Morning News. Now, that's one part guilt and probably one part fear. Part of the reason that they're not having guns there either at the big gun show. Senator Ted Cruz was listed as a speaker, and Trump said Wednesday that he still intends to attend. South Dakota Governor Sticky Pants is also sticking to her plans to stick around and speak at Friday. Though personal firearms are allowed at the convention, the NRA said guns would not be permitted during the session featuring Trump because the Secret Service security protocols. Oh, blame it on the Secret Service. I mean, you would think that the Secret Service would know that more guns equals more safety. It's kind of their job, right? Safety. But I don't know. This is not the time or place to have this convention, said Cesar Espinosa, executive director of FIEL, a Houston-based civil rights group that plans to participate in protests. We must not just have thoughts and prayers from legislators, but rather we need action to address this public health crisis that is affecting our communities. Yeah, it doesn't get any. They want to talk about mental health, but it doesn't get more public health than people getting shot. The children getting shot to little pieces, little tiny, unidentifiable pieces. Beto O'Rourke, challenging Governor Abbott in the 2022 Texas governor's race, said he would be attending a protest outside the convention on Friday, and hell yeah. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, Democrat, said the city's obliged to host the NRA event, which has been under contract for more than 2 years, but urged politicians to skip it. You can't pray and send condolences on one day and then be going and championing guns on the next. It's just wrong. Shannon Watts, the founder of gun control group Moms Demand Action, said she was not surprised the NRA is she was not surprised that they're not canceling their meeting. The real question is now, which elected officials will choose to side with violence and go kiss the ring in Houston instead of siding with communities crying out for public safety? That's so real. That is so real. As we've said on this program numerous times, well, look, I've facetiously said, playing devil's advocate here, that guns don't kill people. It's the hyper masculinity of guns brought about by the ultra mega amosexual book club and their cult following. You know, and I honestly, I still believe that shit. I live out here in the woods. We got bears out here. You know, I mean, it's a real thing. Like, I get it. Self-defense. You know, and I'm not talking about self-defense from, you know, I'm not talking about the same kind of self-defense that Donald Trump talks about. You know what I mean? I'm talking about like bears. We had, you know, rabies is still a problem here in the United States in rural communities here in the Midwest in the United States. I live in a county where one of the last recorded deaths of rabies happened in, you know, not too long ago past. You know, one of the nurses at the time who, you know, treated the patient, like, I grew up with her son, like he was my best friend when we were like 4 years old. You know, it's a thing. It's very much a thing. I get it. Self-defense, hunting. Got a neighbor over here who hunts. I mean, you know, the guy owns like 40 acres, 60 acres, some crazy off the wall thing. You know, sport shooting. Not a fan, but you know, it's whatever. I get it. You know, it's a thing. But this big dick waving, you know, ultra mega amosexual, you know, that's something completely different. That is all the NRA and the propaganda that these people push. The Dr. Oz video, the trash that governor was posting about when people say things like. You know, that the Second Amendment is there to protect them from the overreach of government. Like, you know, what exactly do you mean? You mean the overreach of government, like they're trying to take your guns, or you mean the overreach of government, like, you know, you think that you're going to win a civil war against the U.S. Army fought in your own hometowns? Because keep in mind, all you little Civil War buffs, you know, and LARPers who want to act like it's the 1860s. Keep in mind. You're not the foreign occupier. And people in the military, listen, you veterans, you combat veterans who support this shit, eat shit, okay? Because during a civil war, you should already know. Who was it? Bo of the Fifth Column made a very good point on this. You know, you spoke with the interpreters while you was over there at the sandbox, right? What did the interpreters say? Because, you know, it's not going to be you're not going to be on the foreign, you know, soil here. This is going to be happening in your hometown. This is going to be your neighbors. Okay. I'm just saying. This is going to be your cousin, your brother, your father, your whatever, your pastor, the preacher at your church who says crazy shit. Maybe not him, but maybe his wife who doesn't agree with all that. So, you know, before you advocate all that just absolute dog shit, maybe use that little walnut brain. I'm just saying. You know, and I don't mean to pick on combat vets. Look, you know, again, a lot of my family are military veterans. A lot of them are combat vets. I have no problem. Again, neighbor, guy hunts, guy owns property, guy is also a veteran. I got no problem with it. I got a problem with insurrectionists. I got a problem with people who fly the American flag and don't really give a shit about what it stands for or what it means. And then want to, you know, not even, and would go further than that. And would want to tear apart everything that it is supposed to represent that you allege that you care about. I mean, that's just as stupid as cops not wanting to do their job. You know, more than willing to pull people over and, you know, whip your car out in the middle of traffic going uphill on a two-way highway, you know, pouring down rain. But you can't walk into a school and, you know, put yourself between children and a real threat. You're not qualified to cut my grass. I'm just saying. And my grass is tall because I'm not qualified to cut my grass either. Look, I'm not in law enforcement for a reason. Because by the standards that they need, by the standards that they demand in the military, the standards that they demand in law enforcement, yes, I'm a fucking coward, okay? I mean, maybe, I don't know. I'm going to assume I'm a fucking coward because I'm not in law enforcement and I'm not in the military. Okay, I have never decided that that was a thing that I wanted to do, is put myself in danger and risk my life for others. I haven't actively sought that out in life. So one could only assume that, yes, I am a coward, but I'm willing to admit that. I'm also a critical thinker. So if you're not, and you're not, and you are, this is a fucking problem, and you know, probably need to rethink your position in life. But anyway, so before rant over, we're gonna try something a little bit different here. And I'm still gonna need this, even though it's pulling on me a little bit. We're gonna try something a little bit different here. We're gonna go back to something that I tried a couple of times before. It was a lot of fun. Especially for the Friday show, and especially since I'm not actually going to be active here, but I'm going to be out there amongst the people, speaking with the people. So while speaking with the people, I'm going to get, I'm going to get good feedback, good feedback, not so good feedback, useful feedback, not so useful feedback. So I want to take a look at some of the feedback that I have been getting on social media, and a segment that we haven't covered in quite a while, the best of social media comments. So let's take a look here. What's the best way to go about this? There we go. All right. So, and this is going to be things that have been directly addressed to me on social media, various platforms. So bear with me here. So David writes in, machine guns were dealt with and kill no Americans. Semi-automatic rifles and pistols are the new weapons of mass destruction in our communities. Bullets are more lethal as well. License, regulate, and require insurance to own or possess these killer weapons. Americans know how to do this, and apparently get around to it every 80 to 90 years. I mean, that's real. Those are the same requirements that we have when it comes to vehicle registrations. I absolutely love it. Mary writes in, let's see, I just leave that there. Mary writes in, Blunt and Hawley took almost $6 million from the NRA. Yo, that's I was taking a look at some of those lists that have been going around social media earlier today, and to confirm, it's unbelievable the amount of cheese that's been picked up by Republicans in Congress and in the Senate. Absolutely unbelievable. Blunt for sure, but and people are picking on Mitt Romney. Now, granted, Mitt Romney's been there for a while. That is a lot of money that he's picked up from the NRA, though. But yeah, take a look at what Cruz has just picked up in just the last year, the last 2 years. It's unbelievable. Robert writes in, Robert wrote this in regard to South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. Robert writes, can I say this? Listen, second wave white feminists, forgive me. I didn't write this. Robert writes in, I just can't imagine how a woman and a mother can't think that way. I just can't. I can't. I don't even know if I should be laughing at this or not, but I know I'm gonna catch hell whenever this airs on social media. Hey. He says what it says. You go read it yourself. I don't know. Cat Modo writes, chainsaw, sick puppy. And I believe this was a response to my video on Beto O'Rourke demanding anything besides tots and pears from Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Linda Nuno, who is a candidate, I believe it's in the 10th district, 11th district, one of the two, Google it. Linda Nuno, state of Texas, represented from the candidate for representative seat in the state of Texas, found me on social media, super cool, and writes in, chainsaw, my hero, with hero is capitalized with 3 exclamation points. That's 1, 2, 3, y'all. So that's exciting. Thank you, Linda. Sharon writes in, chainsaw Beto is an A asterisk 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 E dot dot 2 exclamation points. So that's 4 asterisks. Look, I'm not exactly the world's greatest speller. I would assume that Sharon is saying chainsaw Beto is an awesome. Couldn't agree more. Sharon couldn't agree more. Elaine writes in, we're going to have to get louder and louder about this Republican Party sitting on their hands and doing nothing as usual. The American people have the power as more Democrats than Republicans. Loudness will get result, and jamming those Republican phone lines is needed. Hard to follow that up, so I don't think that I will. Thanks, Elaine. Kirk writes in, who are these losers, Democratic Socialists of America, lazy asses of America with no skills? Why do you morons want everything given to you for free? ? Why do you want your freedoms take away? Why do you want to ask the government permission to go to the bathroom? No ? There's a period there. We don't need government. We need big business. So we keep making big money because we have skills. Try it sometime. It works. It's a mouthful. Thanks, Kirk. Karen writes in, and Karen is no Karen, I'll tell you that. She writes in, chainsaw, this was a great video. Republicans need to watch these videos and learn what is going on. They do not know the truth. They only know what Fox tells them. And even if they don't, and even if they don't like it, they think there is nothing they can do. They're such ignorant assholes. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Thanks, Karen. Patricia writes in, Tucker Carlson is one of the biggest mouthpieces propagating this ridiculousness. He's dangerous and getting more delusional by the day. That hysterical laugh of his is chilling. Yeah, that's it's absolutely one of the most frightening things. It hits the uncanny valley. It just seems so inhuman. I want to say that Alex Jones might have a lot to say about lizard folks and whatnot. USWV Dixie writes, yeah, okay, so we all give up our guns. How will that stop those that keep their guns? Please answer that. Funny, and when there's a crime, who they call? ? Oh, the people with guns and guns end the crime, huh? The left says they care about those kids in school, but unborn babies, kill them. Oh, those black kids killed daily from gang shootings. They don't matter either. Funny how the left works. I'll expect your response. And Biden's America, they love shootings. They love school shootings, crime, and riots. That's, that's 3 sentences. Expect my response. Look, how am I supposed to respond to that? I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing. You have trumped me. USWV Dixie, thanks for writing in. Daniel Peters writes, it's not the NRA, it's the Constitution. Unions give way more to politicians than the NRA. The NRA is an organization defending the Bill of Rights. No wonder you hate it. Thanks, Daniel Peters. Goliath speaks. Remove the charity status of American churches and fund education. Boom! Goliath certainly does speak. End the cult of ignorance, horror, and gullibility. End the cult of ignorance, horror, gullibility, and hate. Boy, and when Goliath speaks, he lays it down. Bruh, I'm all about it. Thanks, Goliath speaks. Day Masterin writes, I agree with this preacher. And speaking of Greg Locke, I agree with this preacher. He's speaking the truth. Left is asking for a war. They've been for years. Attack the church, family values, and people freedom for power. Wow. I think I just commented on all of that just a second ago. And I mentioned a good response at the very beginning of this video. So, Jay Masterin, if you want to go ahead and rewind it, the intro part to this video certainly seems to apply to you. Beltana Spellsinger writes, so this pastor just directly threatened people. Yeah. We know, and quote from Greg Locke, we know where you live, you stinking witches. Holy shite, Beltana Spellsinger says. Yeah, and in some of my follow-ups, he not only threatens, the witches, as it were, the guy threatens basically the entire United States. I mean, these people are absolutely batshit loco. Thank you very much, Beltana Spellsinger. Nil Gravity writes in, I'm not sure what the checkout rate says because I'm a slow reader and I can knock out a graphic novel in an hour. I haven't read Fun Home, but it's supposed to be very good. The title refers to growing up in a funeral home with family trauma. Honestly, I haven't checked it out myself. When the hell do I have time to do much besides this? So yeah, for sure. Keep an eye out and let me know. Thanks, Nil Gravity. And lastly on this list, Lifelong Bachelor writes in, the stats don't back you, dude. I agree 100% with Lifelong Bachelor. And this is something that I've been saying since time immemorial. The stats don't back you, dude. And that is exactly why it is super imperative that folks who are watching the show subscribe to the YouTube channel, tap the notification icon, because the YouTube algorithm just absolutely hates me. I'm totally getting screwed by Facebook. Twitter freaking seems to love me, but that's beside the point. I'm like brand new there. But smash that subscribe button, tap the notification icon so you actually may, still a 50-50 shot, get notified whenever I produce videos. And as soon as they're uploaded on YouTube, you may or may not actually get a notification on your phone that says, hey, Chainsaw said some things. You might want to check this out, right? Again, there's no guarantee because the algorithm is what the algorithm is. And if you're already liking and being notified by other stuff, you might not get it. But it increases the chances. And by sharing these videos, maybe the ones where I use less naughty language, of course, of course, will help to spread the good word and to spread the message. And, just honestly, social media in general, the podcast space, the YouTube space, Twitch, maybe not so much Twitch, but, the podcast space, the YouTube space, Facebook, my God, it's just absolutely dominated by right-wingers. It truly is. Just absolutely dominated by right-wing media talk radio hosts, this, that, and the other. I mean, even in my local area, across, South Central, Southwest to Southeast and North Central Missouri, some of the parts that I play around in, there are a lot of folks, a lot of psychopaths and a lot of sociopaths who have either YouTube channels or huge followings on Facebook, who are just, spouting off propaganda. And they're doing it in the same form, maybe not exactly the same form, because a lot of it don't look as nice, but a lot of them are doing it in the same form that I am doing it in. And, these folks got freaking thousands upon thousands of followers. And I get it. It's super easy. When you live in a red state and you know somebody who knows somebody, all you got to do is call your friends and they're just regurgitating the same garbage. And honestly, this is why I don't really do a lot of advertising in my local area. First of all, because I don't want to get lynched, because that's a very real thing. It's a very real thing. Like, I'm not even joking a little bit. There have been people murdered in my area because of things like their lifestyle choices. Murdered, mutilated, and then, not considered a hate crime, even though they're supposed to be a protected class under the Civil Rights Act. But, that's just the part of the magic of living in a red state and living in, very red county areas. But yeah, so I don't do a lot of advertising here, and I'm limited. And of course, the Facebook algorithm is based on your location, so I'm basically screwed on Facebook. Again, Twitter seems to love me, but yeah, feel free. if you find something, any of the content that you just can't live without, share it. You don't need my permission. It's public for a reason, right? But anyway, so to continue on with some of the social media stuff, and I'm sure there's a better way to do this than the one that I did. These are some of the most fun things that I found on Twitter with regard to some of these issues. And actually, I think it's mostly just some of the events that we've discussed this week. So JCRN writes, or tweets rather, the media needs to stop saying the shooter barricaded himself in the room. If all you need is a key to open the door and it's not barricaded, it's just locked. Yo. That is so real. JCRN also tweeted, I can't fathom the nerve it takes to show up to a memorial service for 19 slaughtered children with a professional photographer for campaign photos. And then, of course, is a retweet of Governor Greg Abbott. Somber evening as Cecilia and I joined Uvalde to mourn the loss of innocent lives. We honored the beautiful children and teachers stolen from us. This horrific tragedy has torn the fabric of this community. Together, Texans will ensure it's not ripped apart. And yeah, I don't follow Greg Abbott, so. But these are some of the photos that, photo ops that the governor made sure were going on his Twitter account. So, Jonathan writes, this was in a response to another tweet. Can we add this in as well? And I'm not going to read this, but I will show it to you. It's well, I'll just explain it. It's blunts, runts. The bottom left one says stunts, and it's a fella doing a wheelie on a motorcycle. And then the bottom right corner, well, I'll say that Lauren Boebert's in the picture. So blunts, runts, stunts, and Lauren Boebert and friends. Use your imagination, kids. I did not make this. Valerie Anti-Fascist tweets out, honestly, I hate to be a shit disturber, but I can't help playing Uvalde over and over in my head. What if all of those kids had been white kids? Would the police have behaved differently? That's a resounding fucking yes. I don't even have to think about that. That is a resounding yes. Just look at the community that they came from. Tony Michaels, I freaking love this guy. This guy says naughty words way more often than I do. My God, like this guy says all the things that I wish that I'd been allowed to say whenever I was working with Pacifica, and honestly, a lot of the things that I wish I could say now if I had more of the nerve. That dude is freaking awesome. You want to talk about ranting? My God. Tony Michaels is my spirit animal, but that's beside the point. I got a little man crush on the guy. He tweets out, how many of the Uvalde police are going to the NRA convention? Boom! I mean, there it is, folks. That is so real. So, yeah. Jesse McLaurin writes, if laws don't stop bad people from getting guns, then why did he wait until the literal day it was legal to buy one? And I mentioned this earlier in the broadcast. That is so real. Tartag tweets out, and this is a picture of the Blue Lives Matter flag, the one with the black and white stars and stripes with the old blue line right down the middle there. It says, these colors don't run into the building while kids are getting shot. I'm not mad about it. I am certainly not mad about it. And then Mike Collier tweets out rather, for 35 minutes, A teacher sat in the middle of her classroom, holding on to crying students as she gave them strength. And when police came to escort, I'm going to read that again, for 35 minutes. The teacher sat in the middle of her classroom, holding on to crying students as she gave them strength. And when police came to escort students out of a window, she held their hands to lead them out, not leaving till she was certain that not one child was left behind. Those are some powerful messages. I mean, I'm absolutely speechless, especially on that last one. Now, I did want to kind of end this on a not so depressing note, right? Because this week has just been nothing but an absolute nightmare. I mean, I guess this will be an absolute nightmare to a lot of folks in the opposition, but they can kick rocks and do other things. So, what was this? BBC News is who I'd pulled this from. I'd originally seen it on Twitter, but I pulled the video from BBC News. Laverne Cox honored as first transgender Barbie. This I thought was super awesome. Listen, something could be said about the corporatism and the exactly call it, say the sexism of Barbie, the I don't even know what's a good way to describe that. Say the body issues that have been attributed with Barbie dolls since, my God, time immemorial, right? But all that aside, I actually think this is pretty cool. And the messaging behind it, at least, maybe not so much for Mattel, because I could give a damn about what they're doing. But I think this is pretty cool for her, right? Let me pull this up. Let's see if I can get you the article here. Don't take my word for it. I'm just some guy sitting in a room talking to himself, basically, right? So let's see. Can we see that? We can't see that. All right, so Laverne Cox, transgender actress and activist Laverne Cox has been recognized with her own Barbie doll for a first for the storied and controversial doll. It goes on sale for $40, 32 pounds, ahead of her 50th birthday. The star, who rose to fame in the Netflix prison comedy Orange is the New Black, says she hoped the new doll would help people dream big. The doll is the latest release as toy maker Mattel works to remake Barbie's leggy blonde image. Ms. Cox, who has gone on to win numerous Emmy Awards and is an outspoken advocate for transgender issues, said she was shamed as a child for wanting a Barbie. Years later, after therapy, she finally went out and got one. I went out and bought a Barbie doll, played with her, dressed her, and it was a way for me to heal my inner child, she said, adding that her mother later sent her a Barbie for Christmas. Ms. Cox worked closely with Mattel on the new doll, who wears a red, I don't know, the tulle? I have no idea. I don't know. It's a thing. Ball gown that can be refashioned into different outfits. She said she hoped the doll would inspire children and remind parents to support kids of all gender identities who want to play with dolls. It's incredibly meaningful for me to have my Barbie doll for so many reasons, she said. I hope that kids of all gender identities can look at this Barbie and dream. The space of playing with dolls, and the space of creating worlds with dolls is that space of dreaming, she added. And now kids get to dream with a Laverne Cox Barbie, the first transgender Barbie that is a beautiful space of dreaming and possibility. Laverne Cox Barbie doll is part of Barbie's tribute collection, which launched last year. I'm not going to advertise for Mattel, but okay, so the company's making statements here, right? So let's check that out. Let's see, what was this on? This was on the Today Show. Tweeted out here. All right, and we've got the video, so let's take a look here.
particularly went over 250 pieces.
Start from the beginning.
I mean, I love her and had so much fun collaborating with everyone at Mattel designing her. But I think this year particularly went over 250 pieces of anti-transgender legislation have been introduced in state legislatures all over the country, targeting transgender children, LGBTQ youth, that I hope all the kids who are feeling stigmatized when their health care is being jeopardized, their ability to play in sports, I hope they can see this Barbie and have a sense of hope and possibility. If they don't see themselves in this Barbie, I hope they know that they can create spaces where they do see themselves, where they are represented, because representation matters.
I mean, that's awesome. Look, in a week full of just absolute trash and just the garbage just piling up. I hope that's, something nice. To at least, I'll say it, to at least distract us from everything else. So I'll leave you with that. A little bit of happiness, a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, a little bit of humanity. For God's sakes, we fucking need it at this point. Listen, I want to thank everybody who stuck around to watch this broadcast and who has been watching my show. Some of you relentlessly. I freaking love that. I've been getting a lot of feedback on social media that wasn't included in today's section, but I do want to start doing that as well. Post out and to reach out with the audience. Listen, if you love me, if you hate me, if you think I'm fucking hairy, look, I appreciate you at least being a part of the experience and letting me be a part of yours. So yeah. Subscribe to the channel and blah, blah, blah. Follow me on Twitter. You know the drill, y'all. Have a great, safe, and wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Oh, shit. So I'm going to be out of the studio on Monday, I mentioned, right? Maybe, sort of. I don't know. I'm going to try and film this on location there for Monday's show. And if I am back, then great. If not, that's totally cool, too. But, oh shit, I just lost my train of thought. I glitched out. Oh my God, I'm Donald Trump. Oh my God. There we go. That's better. I got to recharge. So, yeah, so as far as the social media thing, look, if you want to have your comment or suggestion or whatever, your tweets, your reply to a tweet that I made or a comment on a YouTube video, listen, feel free and reach out to me on social media, comment on the videos. That, of course, helps the algorithm, which, again, I'm getting screwed on and if you see me post on Facebook and you want to have your comment potentially read on the show, it's not like I'm just drowning in followers and subscribers, and likes on the Facebook page either. So you're very highly likely to get your message and your voice and your concerns or questions or whatever, rantings. Even put on the show. I would really like to do that as part of a normal course of things, say for Friday's show, do the best of social media or whatever. So, yeah, like I said earlier, if you love me, you hate me, you think I should probably, use less rouge, whatever it is, feel free and reach out to me on social media. Comment on the videos, hit me up on Twitter, don't hit me up per se on Twitter, but, leave a reply on some of the tweets or whatever. I do read all of this stuff. So, yeah, and your blah, blah, blah may be featured on the Friday episode of Cash, Coffee, and Chaos, if we can get that. Because, look, it's the whole point of the show is to get the word out to, good folks like yourself. The whole point of starting a Patreon was to become viewer funded. And of course, I'm responsible to the folks who watch the show and follow the message and, can otherwise help contribute, to the progressive community as a whole. Right. Cause look, without viewers, without comments, without all that stuff, I'm just a guy reading too much news, spending way too much time on Twitter these days and still watching too many YouTube videos myself. Sitting alone in a dark room with some bright lights and speaking to a very tiny screen over there. The slightly bigger screen down here. Screen behind me. broken one over there that used to work, but it was awesome when it worked, but now it's kaput. So, fette outstrid. But, yeah, so feel free and reach out to me, and, listen, I love you, and we'll catch you on a flippity fling flong. Rock and roll. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate the people who are following me on Twitter at ChainsawCCC. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I am very interested to hear your thoughts on these and other issues. If you enjoy what we're doing here in rural Missouri and want to support independent progressive media from the hills and wilderness of the Ozarks, consider going to patreon.com/ChainsawCCC and becoming a Patreon supporter. You can support independent media for as little as $3 per month. That's half the cost of a loaded tea per month. Thank you again, and we'll catch you on the flippity fling flong. Rock and roll.